Guys, I bought a scary looking house and most people get so scared of that. Guess what happens? The price plummets. I'm here to show you how you take a scary looking house and make a crap load of money from it, just like I'm going to do. Let me walk you right through the numbers and some of the pictures before the house was renovated. Now, let me take you through a tour of the home before we get into the numbers. What I want to do here is I want to get rid of these green awnings. The exterior siding is actually not in bad condition, just needs to be painted. That roof absolutely is already getting redone. We're going to take that roof off, put a new roof on there. We're going to paint the front steps, make sure we do some mortar work in there to make sure it's way more sturdy. Obviously, the landscaping needs to be pruned back, but the bushes are actually nice and big and good, so we're just going to prune them back. In the backyard, that big tree there is absolutely beautiful. This exterior garage is actually in pretty good condition, but the inside has some issues that we have to work on that with concrete and things like that, but the outside looks pretty good. So obviously, the cabinets here are in decent condition, but we're yanking all the cabinets. We're going to put granite countertops in here. We're going to put some sort of marble backsplash and some beautiful tile. The goal for us, for my wife and I, is we could probably get away with spending a lot less in this house than we should, but that's not our goal. Our goal is to make sure this is the nicest house on the street that gets the highest rent. So marble backsplash, some sort of nice flooring in here, some sort of tile floor, and brand new cabinets. And like I said, these cabinets are old, but they're in good shape, but they're kind of useless for us if we're going to yank the whole thing and do it all over again. So that's the only issue here. But yeah, this kitchen, the wows are the kitchens and the bathrooms. And that's where we're going to spend the most money when it comes to renovation costs for this house. So this is one of the bedrooms, a small bedroom. As you can tell, there's actually good hardwood floor down here. The floor is in good condition. It just needs to be refinished. So all we're going to do is strip it, refinish it. Obviously, everything here on the walls gets stripped down. And probably a big chunk of these walls are going to get redone completely, but full room replacement in terms of paint. And then you look at this light fixture up here, this will absolutely be changed. Now, how do you do it? This is where I always tell people go cheap on these and they buy these $8 lights from Home Depot. Why? Spend $40, wow people, it's 5 times more, but it's not 5 times more, it's $32 more. So here we are in the bathroom. The tub's actually in good condition, so we'll probably save it. All this tile's got to go. Everything here has got to go. It's going to be redone, brand new vanity, new light fixtures, new plumbing fixtures. This house, from what I understand, the original person who built this house lived here as a kid and then lived here as an adult and finally sold it, never did anything to the house on the inside. It just needs to be redone. This will be so much, I mean, look at the drab feeling in here. It's because of the wall color. It's because of the light fixture. Once that's all done, it's going to open up so beautifully. It's going to be such a nice home. And I'm actually surprised by this tub. I'm actually surprised what good condition it's in. And again, new windows, so we might have to do the trim around it or repaint the trim, but it's actually not as bad as we expected here when going through the house the first time. Another thing I want to show, people who buy old houses, the one thing I always tell people, look at the door frames. Are they even? If they're even, you don't have much settling. I've seen houses before where the door frame looks like this, and that's just not good. You have the house dipping into the ground. So this one's in good condition, and we're excited about it. So this is the scariest room in the house. If you look above, we have no ceiling. It goes right up to the attic. This is a bedroom, and we are going to finish this off, and it's actually kind of worrisome being in this room at all, but it just needs work. This is a lot of scary stuff that a lot of people see and get worried about, but I always tell people sometimes houses that are in this condition are better than houses in good condition. I just made an offer today on a house that was rejected because the house was in good enough condition, even though it needed a full remodel. It was in good enough condition that the owners thought that they could keep the house at a certain price. This house was in such bad condition that it scares a lot of people away. Not me, because I look at it going, great, they just saved me a lot of work. They just demoed the house already, so I'm good for this. But this will be a bedroom, and we're going to have to finish the ceiling, obviously, the attic above, but this is not worrisome at all for us. Guys, this is the basement. It's a little dingy, but look at this wall. It's actually nice wood paneling. I know it's crazy. It's not the look I want. These floor tiles here, about 9 inches, you're going to yank these. I'll probably just merely yank these up, clean it up, and paint the floor or put some sort of inexpensive carpet down here as a playroom or like a TV room for people. Very simple. You have the laundry room over here. Again, just down, oh, there's actually a bathroom down here we can convert. But if you come down here, this is just a cleanup. Yeah, there's a little moisture, there's a little mistiness in the air, but it's not bad. We're probably going to waterproof this house. That'll probably cost about $8,000 or $9,000. But other than that, it's actually in good condition. People get scared when they see different colors and all this stuff and old things. They get worried about what's going on. Not for us. We've dealt with this 1,000 times. It's not a big deal. And that's where we have our advantage. When other people get scared about something, they don't buy it, price drops, we can come in. So this is basically the house. Now, guys, what I do whenever I buy a house, I first start with, okay, what rent can I get? Now you might be wondering, well, how do you find that out? Very simple. Zillow has a rent estimator. And you'll see right here, I put the address into the rent estimator and I came up with a 2018 per month rent. But that's based on houses in that area. Well, guys, houses in that area are not renovated. So I see this and think to myself, yeah, I can probably get $2,250 to $2,495 per month. Is that for sure? No. But again, people want good-looking properties. I plan on renovating this top to bottom with marble backsplash, granite countertops, new cabinets, hardwood floors refinished throughout. We're going to make it a nice house. We're going to make sure the basement is properly dry locked and sealed. And here is actually a budget for this house. Now, this isn't a guarantee, but the point is, I look at it saying, well, it's not like it's a brand new area. Lyndhurst, Ohio has been around for a long time, and they're all 50-year-old homes, basically. So when I look at the rents and I see this estimate, I go, okay, that's based on the average house in that area. This will not end up being the average house in the area. And that's something very, very important. I always tell people, if your goal is not to be the most expensive property on your street, don't bother buying it. Now, I'm going to show you the underwriting that I did, and you might be shocked by the initial IRR that I have. It's a lot lower than you expect. However, there's a very important reason why. So let's pull up our real estate calculator here. So I input the information. First thing I start with is number of units. 1 unit, 4% appreciation per year, 10% vacancy. I'm buying it for $145,000. Someday when I sell it, I'm probably going to pay a 7% commission. My guess is someday that'll be a lot lower. I'm doing a 25-year analysis. I'm actually going to change this to 30-year analysis. I like doing 30-year analysis. And you might sit there and say, well, why so long? Well, I don't believe in 5 or 7 year analysis on houses I want to own for a long period of time. If I'm in this for a long time, let's analyze it for a long time. Now, here's an important one on our software. How do you want the property value based on? When it's an apartment building, I do it based on cap rate. And cap rate is net income divided by sale price. The reason I'm not doing that here is when I sell this property, this is going to be sold as a single family home. Somebody's going to buy it for their own home. So I'm going to have the property increase in value based on the appreciation rate, not based on how much I drive the income. If I make $100,000 a year on this property, spoiler alert, that's not possible, versus $10,000 a year, nobody's going to pay me more essentially unless I package this with a bunch of homes and they made a ton of money. But usually on single family homes, your best way of selling it is to some other person to go buy it from you. I did a 1% financing fee, and here are some tabs over here. I'm going to refinance the property over time, and I'm going to rehab the property. You saw its condition. I will be putting that rehab in. Next, we go to income. First unit, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 1,830 square feet. I'm putting the current rent at $2,250. What this means basically is the current rent's supposed to be when you're renovating a property, what's the current as is rent, and then the market rent is after rehab. But since it's not really leasable until it's renovated, I just made it the exact same amount. And usually you can put in some sort of miscellaneous income, but on this property, there's not really much I can really collect for. Maybe they'll have a pet or something like that I can charge extra for, but I don't know about that. Next, expenses. Now, guys, I'm going to be managing this myself. So I'm doing things a little bit different. The property tax rate over there is about 2.5%. I'm not putting a management fee in. Why? We're going to manage it ourselves. This is a very touchy subject because a lot of people, including me, would have said put a management fee in. I agree with that. But we're not trying to build a 100-unit portfolio. My wife and I are trying to build 10 or 20 units total at most. Mostly something that we can have together, that we enjoy together. And someday she passes her share on to her kids and I keep continuing to manage it. But right now I'm putting in 0 management fee. Commission, leasing commission. This is where my management comes in place. I'm basically paying a half month's rent for a leasing commission. Okay. Now, If the rent's $22.50 divided by 2, that's $11.25. But guess what? It's only going to be every 2 or 3 years. So really, this leasing commission might actually end up being less than $600 per unit per year. Insurance, I got it quoted. It's actually $817 per year. I'll just put in $850. No maintenance staff, no leasing staff, no property manager, but I'm putting a big maintenance and repair number of $1,500 per unit. That'll cover maintenance guy going there, a lot of things happening. To keep it in perspective, on new properties that we have, fully renovated properties we spend about half of this. But we also have maintenance men on staff. I don't have that here, so I'm putting that in right there. No advertising, that'll be on Zillow or Craigslist. No accounting. Landscaping, we'll have to cut the grass while it's vacant. $25, $35 a cut, so it's not gonna be much. Snow plowing, nothing. They're gonna handle it. Gas, electric, water. This is while it's vacant 10% of the year. And guess what? It's not gonna be this much either. But I'm putting it in there just to be safe. And no miscellaneous, but I am putting a capital expenditure amount of $1,000 per year. Even though we're fully renovating it, my roof, my furnace, my siding, these things are going to go over time. How long? I don't know, 20 years. So I'm accounting for $20,000 in expenses 20 years from now, over the next 20 years. But you have to amortize it over a yearly basis. I'm putting $1,000 per unit. To keep in perspective, on our apartments, we do about $400 per unit. But a home has a lot more stuff that's attached to that one home. It's a lot bigger. So I'm putting $1,000 per unit. And again, no other expenses here. Now, the rehab budget. I'm rehab budget amount of $100,000. Now, I think I'm being high on this one. I think I'll spend hopefully between 80 and 90, but I put in 100 just to brace myself, and I'm doing it all year one. So I put 100% in here. If I had an apartment building with like 20 units, I would split it across several years because you're not going to usually do all the units in year one. So far, I've tackled the income, the expenses, and the rehab. Now comes the mortgage. Now, here is why my return is very, very low. My loan to value, 0.5%, not 50%, 0.5. The reason being is I'm basically paying cash for this property to start. Now, before I go further in numbers, let me tell you why. I'm paying $145 for this property. If I go to a bank now and say, lend me on it, they're going to be like, oh, it's so gross. It sucks. We don't want to lend. So I'd rather, for me, pay cash, put the money into it, and then go to the bank when it's rented and fully renovated and say, guys, give me a mortgage. And on top of that, I will get a mortgage for a higher dollar amount. Why? Because it's increased in value tremendously. So really this mortgage information doesn't even matter right now. And then I go to my refinance. Guys, I'm going to refinance in year 2, year 9, year 16, and year 23. I'm just basically adding 7 years each time. Every 7 or 8 years, I'm going to refinance. I'm going to have a fee of about 1%, 80% loan to value, 7% interest, 30-year amortization. Do I know this will be the case? No, I don't. But history shows that that's probably a reasonable rate, and you have to estimate based on history. Now, recent history suggests that's way too high. But guys, recent history was very, very extreme. So I'm not going to bank on that. If I get a lower rate, even better. So when we look at this right now, you're going to see my IRR, but there's several reasons why the IRR is wrong. For one reason, it's showing me 12.35% over 30 years. That's very low. But you also want to know why? It has the value of my property only increasing based on what I paid for it on the 145, not based on the actual value. So I'm going to show you what I did here to change that. Let's go back here and let's edit the deal. I'm going to pretend I paid $245,000 for the property, the full $100,000 into it. I'm going to call the expenses on taxes 1.5%. The reason being is it's going to be based on 145, but the house will be worth 245, but my tax will be based on 145. So it's not going to be the full 2.5%. I'm going lower here. For the rehab, I'm actually getting rid of the rehab. I'm assuming the rehab is $100,000 as part of my purchase price. Okay. Mortgage, still 0.5% because we're paying cash to start and we're refinancing in year 2. Now look at my IRR, 14.85%. So a lot better. Now, is this a slam dunk home run? It's good. I'm not running home and high-fiving my wife and saying, this is awesome. But I also feel like $22.50 is probably on the lower side of the rent, but that's okay for me. We're trying to build it so we buy good assets at good prices because our situation, we're not in wealth major growth mode. We're in wealth preservation mode. We're in how do we put our money into good assets that will go up in value over time, will pay down some debt, and will generate some cash flow. That's what I'm looking at right here. And if you look all along the way, cash flow, refinance money, $225,000, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, increasing every year, then a big refinance, then cash flow dips. So every 7 or 8 years, I'm gonna get tens of thousands of dollars in my pocket, tax-free, that I can keep going and doing this with. That is my goal here. Now, for you out there, guys, if you're in wealth growth mode, you gotta be a little bit pickier than this for the property. You gotta be a little bit pickier than 14.85%. Now let's show you what the potential could be if I do a little bit better. So instead of putting 100,000 in the property, let's say I do 85,000. Okay. Now, instead of 10% vacancy, 8% vacancy, and instead of rent of $2,250, I get $2,495. Watch how much it changes the IRR. 18.61. Small changes made a big difference. That's where I'm going to go and look at it and say, okay, where can I strip out $15,000 of unnecessary expense in the renovation? I don't know. But in my budget, you saw right there, I have buffer in all those areas. For example, I have the flooring costs in there, like it's the whole house having hardwood floors fully installed. That's not gonna be the case. The other thing is I'm double counting because I'm putting more tile in the kitchen. I'm double counting that when I do my kitchen and bathroom renovation. So there are areas I can save money in. But my point here is I have great margin of safety. Investing in real estate is no different than stocks in terms of how you look at it. I look at this and say, this is going to be a 14% deal for me probably all day long. So if every single deal I do is a 14% deal all day long, I am going to make a fuckload of money. And that's what I want for you as well. Now, guys, I don't know what your experience level in real estate is. You could be a beginner who's just like, hey, I'm interested in this. Or you could be more advanced and have dozens or hundreds of units. I don't know. But the point is here, we created this channel to help people. I have 1,000 apartments, but I started with 2 units. That's the way you get started. You cannot get to 1,000 units without starting with your first property. So no matter what your goal is, we created a PDF with our full real estate course in it, absolutely free. Click the link below, enter your email. Within a minute, you will have this absolutely free, thorough PDF explaining how to buy real estate. And guys, so even though I have 1,000 apartments, I still buy single family homes. I still believe in finding one great property per year. That is still the goal. So if you want to get better at it, that's why I put all this information in this free PDF. Click the link below, sign up for it. You will see many more videos about this exact house as we go through the process. Thank you for your time.